Hi, this is Jacob Tepper again. This time I'm going to teach y'all. I was going to do this a co-op, but good, because coronavirus. Today I'm going to teach you about airplanes, the aircraft of World War II. Some of these things are actually kind of sad. So I'm going to start off with American planes. So here for you today, I have it was named the most famous, not the most famous, the best aircraft of World War II ever produced, period. End of story. That's not made up. I also built this like a creation from no instructions. But, so, this had a Rolls-Royce Merlin V12 dual-cylinder engine and could go 451 miles an hour. Some people got it up to 500, but now they're putting turbo engines in them after World War II, and they're getting them up to like 600 miles an hour.
You didn't tell us what it is.
Oh yeah, North American P-51 Mustang. Okay. And then, as a concept, I wish I brought down the magazine with this plane. I could show you some really cool pictures of it. This is another Lego I built. The North American XP-82 Twin Mustang. So they basically took two of these fuselages, extended the wing, joined them together, and kaboom. They had 6 machine guns in the wings. When you were shooting, it literally looked like you were shooting laser bolts. They were shooting so fast. Southern accent. Okay, I'm gonna just go on to Japanese. Paper model I built. Mitsubishi A6M0. Probably one of the second most famous aircraft of World War II. I gotta look it up. But,
what were they used for?
They were carrier-based, aircraft carrier-based. And at the end of the war, towards the end of the war, when Japan was getting desperate, they literally ripped them off the assembly line, took off the cowling, the engine. The cowling is this black thing on the front, by the way. Took off the wheels, sawed off the wings so they were like that, sawed off the back, stuck a rocket in the back, and called them kamikaze bombers. Put a cone on the front too. And so they would basically, and then a guy would get them, they would bolt the windshield shut so you couldn't get out of it without a saw. And then they took another plane that was big enough to fit one of the little kamikaze bombers. They would put them up, they would anchor it onto the bottom of the plane like a bomb. And then they would fly out to their mission where all the American planes and stuff were. They would drop the little guy. They would fire the rocket. They would point the thing at their target, and they would fire the rocket and kill themselves. Very few of those things actually worked. There's something similar that the Germans did. All right, and then I can show you a few other Japanese aircraft. Here we have the Nakajima Ki-43 Hayabusa, whatever you call it, Oscar. And then you see this is very handy.
What's interesting about this one?
Well, the fact that it was so thin and light that it was expected to be able to go 100 miles an hour, and it can go 330. And Russia was a part of this, and France. They made a few other airplanes. But now I'm going to go on to British. Here we have the Hawker Hurricane. Was used as a trainer, converted to a really cool bomber. Not a bomber, fighter bomber. This thing, the Supermarine Spitfire, it's probably third to the Zero, the P-51 and the P-51 Mustang.
You mean third most popular aircraft?
Yeah.
What was it used for?
They were used for intercepting aircraft and stuff. And French, here we have this. And then German. All right. So this is the Focke-Wulf FW-190, 410 miles an hour top speed. Very fast, very light. I would have had a paper model of this, but didn't get to building that all the way. Then we have the Messerschmitt Bf-109. That date is not correct. It flew in the early 1930s.
What was it powerful, or what was it used for?
Well, that was that was Germany's first interceptor, really.
So talk about why all these aircraft were important in World War II. It was the first war that was what?
Well, I'm not done yet with the aircraft. I've got the bombers.
Okay.
Okay. Oh wait, one more German plane. This was called the Natter, and it was actually kind of sad because see, there's rockets in the front. It's another one of those like suicide bomber planes. There's one being loaded on to its thing. They're testing the rockets there. Then there's one taking off. And here's another picture of the audience with Hitler. It's a rare picture because they did not take very many pictures of Hitler. There's one on the loading thing. That's how they got in. They had to scale the stuff. They had no ladder, and then they would just... That's a crash one. That's one that wasn't launched. I find this stuff very interesting. That's one other article. Now for the bombers. For American bombers, here you can bring it over here. These are some of the American bombers. Let me see. Oh, by the way, this is what those suicide bombers planes look like. It's really sad. That's the bomber that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
And that did what?
That pretty much blew up a whole few cities. They literally, end of the war pretty much.
Okay.
And then this plane doesn't have really anything special. This plane, however, those were some of the main aircraft participating in D-Day. I think Cohen's doing a video on D-Day.
Yes.
So that was one of them, the B-26 Marauder, Martin.
Yeah.
I want to get a model of that. Those are so cool. Good. No, subject though. All right, now we have some other American planes. The consolidated B-24 Liberator. Those planes were also called the Flying Coffin because literally if you had a faulty engine, instead of this plane, if you had two faulty engines, you could still fly. But this thing literally dropped out of the sky if you even started to sputter on one. It's kind of scary. Read Unbroken. That's a book about a guy who flew on one of these and he crashed, and it's a great story. Now we have the British Avro Lancaster. There are only 2 of these flying now because the bombers were so good that Britain didn't want Germany to get that kind of information after the war and start World War III. Because after the war, Britain thinks that they're kind of notorious for starting wars. But yeah, they pretty much blew up half of their air force full of these, and then some of them were sold off to Africa where they were subsequently crashed and stuff. And then, wait, was that the right word? Subsequently? Sounds cool. And then 2 of these are flying in Canada. Now we have Vickers Wellington. That thing's basically made out of a bunch of plywood. And they literally call those things home builds because they actually built those things in piano factories. It's kind of funny. This was another bomber, the B-17 Flying Fortress that participated in D-Day. These things were literally this is like the P-51's best friend. They're some of the best planes ever built.
Does this come to the air show?
Yeah, there was one last year. That was what was it called? Then we have the B-25 Mitchell. Not much, I can't it would take too long to explain the history. And then we have the Douglas A-20 Havoc. That's a lesser known plane, but they literally used those things up until the 2000s when they were literally falling apart. The USAF literally, they were made in 1942, and usually like the P-51 Mustang, they stopped using those in like the 80s, and that was in somewhere in South Africa. South America. But the USAF continue to use these for forever, and I'm surprised they still do. But here's a B-17 in detail. So you see here's the plane flying. There's some of the guns. that you had to squeeze into and shoot, as you can tell, with all the
The pilot was actually sitting in that.
Well, not the pilot.
I
That's
mean,
what
the
bomber, the gunner. And then this is one of the upper turrets. There's the Norden bomb site that literally had a bomb that you would destroy the thing. That's what a flight deck looked like. Then you see all these cables. Mm-hmm. Those cables were what these controlled, and that so pretty much that controlled everything. And if you snipped those cables, you're dead. You're gonna drop out of the sky as soon as your plane is done. And then we have the V1, V2 atomic bombs.
Let's wrap it up. Let's close up with why World War II was really the first war one that was fought a lot in the
air. Really, that's what made World War II, the airplanes.
Right.
My opinion.
Gotcha.
But it's for a lot of people. And that really changed the way of how we fly. Like a lot of good things on airplanes that we didn't have before World War II came out. Like autopilot, contra-rotating propellers. That's hard to explain. Like on the P-82, they spun like this, because if you had both of them spinning like this, the plane would drift the other way. They spun like that, so it was perfectly straight. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, Jacob Tepper signing off. Hope you guys are watching this. This is for black and gray class, don't worry. All right.